picture this. You're sitting in a loud, neon-lit diner at 2 in the morning, eating like a greasy plate of mac and cheese.
Yeah, just a totally normal late-night scene.
Exactly. You're expecting the usual small talk, but suddenly your buddy slides pure 3,000-year-old metaphysical concepts into the conversation. It makes your deepest existential dread, well, completely digestible. Welcome to the deep dive.
It's such a great analogy for what we're looking at today.
Right. So you've sent us this fascinating stack of personal notes and book excerpts, and today our mission is to synthesize them. We're looking at W. Somerset Maugham's 1944 novel, The Razor's Edge.
Which really acted as this ultimate Trojan horse. It translated Eastern non-dualism for a traumatized, hyper-individualized Western world trying to recover from the world wars.
Yeah, because your notes highlight a crucial moment of civilizational crisis there. Wonder audiences were just completely disillusioned.
Right. They were disillusioned with the standard narratives of material success. They desperately needed a philosophical recalibration, but they were deeply skeptical. I mean, they wouldn't have accepted a dry, disembodied lecture on ancient philosophy.
No, definitely not. And Maugham realized he couldn't put his grand philosophical reveal on some sacred mountaintop. Instead, he puts it in a loud, smoky Parisian café, the Brasserie Graff, over bacon, eggs, and beer.
Which is brilliant. That juxtaposition anchors the ultimate reality right in the gritty every day. Maugham basically builds a translation matrix for the reader there.
Right, by translating the core concepts.
Exactly. He explains that the absolute isn't a personal God passing judgment. It's the unchanging fabric of reality itself. And the essential self isn't some fragile ego waiting to be saved. It's completely identical to that absolute.
But, looking through the articles you shared, they mention this analogy of the soul as a drop of water returning to the ocean. And honestly, if I'm that drop, doesn't that mean I lose my unique identity when I hit the sea?
Oh, that sounds terrifying to most of us.
Right. Like, I don't want to just disappear.
Well, that right there is the core Western objection. It stems from our deep attachment to the ego. The protagonist, Larry Darrell, counters this with a brilliant line. He says, "You want to taste sugar? You don't want to become sugar."
Oh, wow. That's actually a really perfect way to put it.
Yeah, Mom is pointing out the absurdity of our mindset. We're so addicted to experiencing things as a separate ego, tasting the sugar, that we are terrified of actually merging with ultimate reality and becoming it.
So we see the illusion of our individuality as a protective shell, rather than the limitation it actually is.
Exactly. But obviously that brings up some heavy questions.
Yeah, because that idea of limitation sounds peaceful until you apply it to, say, 1944. I mean, if we are all just temporarily obscured from this perfect unified absolute, how does this philosophy account for the horrors of the trenches in World War I?
And this is exactly where traditional Western dualism hits a wall for Larry. The dualistic view he encounters in a monastery suggests evil is like a test sent by God to purify us.
Which feels a bit like a toxic boss setting you up to fail just to test your loyalty.
Right, and Larry rejects that completely. He compares it to a cruel maze built just to make an errand harder. Instead, the non-dual view reframes suffering. It's not a demonic force to be defeated.
Wait, what is it then? Just part of the system?
Basically, yeah. It's the inevitable friction of the infinite manifesting into a finite world. Larry argues you couldn't have the stupendous beauty of the Himalayas without the unimaginable horror of violent earthly convulsions.
Oh, so it's like the messy knots on the back of a woven tapestry.
Precisely.
It reminds me of looking at the raw code of a complex video game. To the untrained eye, it looks completely chaotic and broken.
Yeah, just a bunch of random symbols and text.
Exactly, but all that friction and complexity is required to render the beautiful, cohesive graphics on the screen.
That's a great modern analogy. Once you view the world from that perspective, the illusion of separateness collapses. But the real tension in the book is what you actually do with that realization. Because Larry, he doesn't retreat to a monastery.
No, he goes to New York to be a taxi driver. And when you highlighted this section in your notes, it hit on something I think we all struggle with.
The practicality of it all.
Right. How do you navigate cutthroat NYC traffic or just modern corporate life without that inner stillness turning into total apathy?
Well, it comes down to the mechanics of detached execution. Karma yoga, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Larry operates like the Siwa oasis in the deep desert.
Okay, how so?
The oasis doesn't wage war on the sand, right?
Yeah.
It just taps into a subterranean well of stillness amidst the chaotic grind. He focuses entirely on the act of driving, the steering, the braking, without attaching his ego to the anger of being cut off.
So he separates the action from the emotional reaction.
Exactly.
That makes sense of the article in your stack that compared him to the Rush song Tom Sawyer. His mind isn't for rent. He just rides the river of existence.
I love that comparison.
Yeah, he's fully engaged with the mechanics of the world, but not ruled by them.
It is a radical shift in perspective. It means you don't need to flee your daily life to find ultimate reality. The absolute is just as present in a brasserie